What is this? How you doing there, my dear brothers and sisters? Leben Schmull here, coming to you from FEMA Region number 3. What is this? Well, what it is the days of Noah, the days of Lot, and there aren't a lot of days left. I'm gonna get right on with it, my friends. This video here is going to be a continuation. It's going to be part 2 of a video I did last week called Return of the Money Changers. You're going to have to go back and watch that one if you're going to kind of pick up on what I'm doing in this one. What I'm going to focus on in this video is Revelation chapter 11. Mr. Jim Bakker believes that the rapture of the church will occur after the incident of the 2 witnesses. He believes that the rapture occurs at the end of Revelation chapter 11. You can see that here. He had some kind of teaching that he did that he's hawking on this program. But first I want to take a look at a couple other scriptures. Let's look at them now. All right, now let's read these together. Isaiah 59:9. Therefore justice is far from us, nor does righteousness overtake us. We look for light, but there is darkness, for brightness, but we walk in blackness. And on the other side, Amos, chapter 8, verse 11. Behold, the days are coming, says the Adon Yahweh, that I will send a famine on the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh. Now I ask you, my friends, what is the light that Isaiah is talking about that they're looking for? I think it's 2 things. Remember, Yeshua called us the bride, the light of the world. And in the Psalms it is written that the word is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. So the light is the word, and the proclaiming of the word, the preaching of the word, the witnessing. Then in Amos, there is a famine on the land, not of bread or of water, or according to Revelation of oil or wine, but of the hearing of the words of Yahweh. So in light of the fact that there is a famine of the hearing of the words of Yahweh, let me ask you this question. Why is there a famine in the land of the hearing of the word of Yahweh if there are born-again believers on the earth during the tribulation? Huh? According to those who promoted mid/post-tribulation rapture, the bride of Yeshua is on the earth during the tribulation. So how could there be a famine of the word? What is the bride doing? Are they not witnessing? Are they not proclaiming the word? Are they hiding their light? Where are these mid and post-tribulation folks? Where are they? Perhaps these are the ones that are fulfilling this part of Amos 8:11. What are you talking about, Laban? What do you mean by that? Well?
You chocolate lovers will love this anyway.
Husk and butter noodles. Yummy, yummy, yummy. The Italian tomato pasta for you Italian lovers. The no-bake cookies. These are yummy. The brownies are they're chewy, they're moist, they're delicious.
I'll bet they are. But you know what my question is? My question is where they gonna be eating these brownies and their cookies and their Tuscan noodles? Are they excluded from all this horrible stuff that they're preaching about the tribulation, telling people it's gonna be too late to prepare? Where are they setting up that nice table when all this horrible stuff is going on? Where are they in Revelation chapter 11? Let's take a look at what I'm getting at. All right, here we are. Revelation chapter 11, verses 7 through 12. Now, the thrust of this chapter in the book of Revelation are the 2 witnesses, and the fact that when they die, everyone on the planet sees it, and then they rejoice that they're dead. Okay? Now, I want to point out that Mr. Bakker, Mr. Shorey, and all these mid-trib people, post-trib people, they believe they will be on the earth when this happens. They believe that the rapture does not occur until after the two witnesses ascend into heaven. Now let's read the passage together. When they finish their testimony, that is the two witnesses, of course, the beast that ascends out of the bottomless pit will make war against them, overcome them, and kill them. And their dead bodies will lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Adon was crucified. Then those from the peoples, tribes, tongues, and nations will see their dead bodies 3.5 days, and not allow their dead bodies to be put into graves. And those who dwell on the earth will rejoice over them, make merry, and send gifts to one another, because these two prophets tormented those who dwell on the earth. Verse 11. Now after the 3.5 days, the breath of life from Yahweh entered them, and they stood on their feet, and great fear fell on those who saw them. And they heard a loud voice from heaven, saying to them, Come up here. And they ascended to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies saw them. So what we get from these passages here is that the whole world sees this. And I was wondering if Mr. Baker agrees with these passages and the fact that the whole world sees them. Let's see what he thinks.
Verse 9, this is what it says. And the people and kindreds and tongues and nations. Hold on. The people, kindreds, and nations. Tongues are in there. People, kindreds, tongues, nations. What does that mean? Come on, Zach, help me. That's all of everybody. Them. Look at it. Yeah. What does it mean?
It said
people, kindreds, tongues, all the different tongues. That means the whole world. That means every nation, every tongue, every kindred is going to see their dead bodies.
Means the radio.
Every eye
You hear
shall see.
Mr. Baker agrees with the scriptures here that everyone will see their dead bodies lying in the street. The whole world. So we have established that the whole world sees the bodies of the two witnesses lying dead in the street. What does the world do next?
People who live on the earth will rejoice and be happy because those two are dead.
Who was that, Mrs. Baker? Who's happy that the two witnesses are dead? Just like you said, the people who live on the earth. Then what happens next?
They're so happy they have Hanukkah or they have Christmas. They give gifts. They give presents to each other.
They give presents to each other? All right, Mr. and Mrs. Baker, make up your minds. Are you on the earth during the tribulation or not? If you are on the earth, and you are conveniently not including yourselves in this day that you so disgustedly refer to, then who are you? Where are you? Are you people? Yes. Do you live on the earth? Yes. Well, then you are part of that scripture. You are part of that day. Or perhaps you expect me to believe that the Apostle John forgot to mention all the preppers standing up and defending the two witnesses. Perhaps old Apostle John found some funny mushrooms growing on the Isle of Patmos and forgot about all of you sitting around that table eating them tortellonis or whatever it is you're selling. If you say that you are mid-tribulation believers, that puts you smack dab right in the middle of all this. You can't have it both ways. Oh yes, we're on the earth, but we're good. Well then why didn't you help the two witnesses? Why aren't you out witnessing for that matter? To suggest that the Apostle John was right about how the whole earth rejoices over the death of the two witnesses, but would not mention one single solitary believer that defended them. And how dare anyone consider that you, the preppers, would give gifts to each other? Well, maybe you're not giving gifts. Maybe you're selling the gifts. And where are you, Mr. John Shorey? Did the Apostle John forget about you too? Boy, oh boy, I'll bet when you finally get a chance to meet the Apostle John, you're going to have a thing or two to say to him. What are you talking about, Laban? Well, if you recall, Mr. Shorey, you said this.
So when the sun goes dark and we jump out of our seats and we start jumping for joy, the enemy, the Satan's crew is going to run for a hole to hide themselves in, and we're going to be running out and jumping for joy. And all of this was laid out in Matthew 24.
I gewalt, in light of this teaching, who are we supposed to believe? John the Prepper or John the Revelator? Because if John the Prepper has proven to us that Satan and his crew are down in a hole in Revelation chapter 6, how could John the Revelator write that the beast, who is possessed by Satan, kills the two witnesses in chapter 11? What are you going to do then? Argue that the book of Revelation is not chronological with regard to the seals, trumpets, and vials? Hey, why not? Maybe the vials are really before the seals. And hey, if the Apostle John could forget to write about something as important as Christians trying to protect the two witnesses, well then, maybe Yeshua forgot to mention all of those preppers jumping around for joy in Matthew 24. Yeah. And how about this one, Mr. Shuri? Maybe the Father, maybe Yahweh, got his feasts mixed up. Oh, there you go again, Laban. What are you talking about? Well, let's listen to a little story told by Mr. Shuri in the autumn of 2014.
And the funny thing happened a few weeks ago when we was in the week of the Feast of Trumpets. I was walking to my house as it was just getting dark, and I looked up at the moon, and it was orange. And I thought to myself, there's the harvest moon during the Feast of Trumpets.
The harvest moon on the Feast of Trumpets. Now that's a miracle. That's an absolute miracle there, Mr. Shuri. There's only one problem. You made it up. And not only did you make it up, there's not even a possibility that such a thing could even happen. Let's go on Stellarium to the Feast of Trumpets 2014, and we'll listen to Mr. Shuri's story one more time.
And the funny thing happened a few weeks ago when we was in the week of the Feast of Trumpets. I was walking to my house as it was just getting dark, and I looked up at the moon, and it was orange. And I thought to myself, there's the harvest moon during the Feast of Trumpets.
Mr. Shuri, there's a challenge that you have on your website. You say that people can take this challenge to see if they can prove the mid-tribulation rapture theory to be incorrect. But you know what? It also says that you have to buy your book in order to take the challenge. Well, why would anyone buy a book from a person who cannot tell the difference between a full moon and a new moon? How about we get a cat and a dog, and we ask you which one's the cat? There's a challenge. Mr. Shuri, the Feast of Trumpets is the new moon. Here is the harvest moon. That was on September the 8th, 2014. People, especially you mid-tribulation folks, I'd start rethinking everything you've been thinking, especially if it has anything to do with this dude. This guy's not right. If he went outside, looked up in the sky at the Feast of Trumpets, and he saw a big orange moon, he might want to consider being a Buddhist. And as for the challenge, take my challenge, Mr. Shuri. My challenge is free. You don't have to buy no book. I'm not selling nothing. I'm not copywriting nothing. Go to the Zeus Mossbender channel on YouTube and look for the video called Light and Darkness. Dispute that one. I'm ready whenever you are. I doubt very much I'm going to hear from you, though. You think I'm being too harsh about these folks? You think I'm being a little mean? Well, let me tell you something. I have watched hours and hours and hours of this program, and all they do is produce confusion. They contradict what they say, And then there is the shameless pushing of this merchandise. Selling a book, selling a... I'm telling you, I got a feeling that I could go on there and I could say, I got a book for you. I just wrote a book. I have absolute evidence that when Yeshua comes back for the second coming, Lady Gaga is going to be sitting on his shoulders on that white horse. And I'll bet you they'll still promote that book. I have watched guest after guest, and they applaud and they yuck it up no matter who the guest is. You don't believe me? Watch them. Go on that website. They got a video on demand, and watch them. Watch them close. Listen close. And have your scriptures there with you. I'm telling you. You think I'm being harsh? Go be a Berean and check these people out. Especially if you're mid or post-trib. These people ain't right. Something wrong with them. The things they say. And I wonder if the occasion would arise in which a prominent pre-tribulation teacher went on this show as a guest. But he challenged these people? Well, you know what? That's about to happen, my friends. On June the 9th, one of the foremost teachers of the pre-tribulation rapture doctrine, Chuck Missler. That's right. Chuck Missler will appear on the Jim Baker Show. Does anybody out there know Chuck? Somebody that can tell him, maybe you should stay away from this thing, because, man, is he going to challenge this mid-trib view? Or is he just going on there to try to sell a book? Or maybe a DVD? Well, we'll soon find out, won't we? But I'll tell you this. If he goes on there and he yucks it up just like all the rest of them, I'm telling you, I'm not going to watch Chuck Missler no more. Because you got to make up your mind. You got to know what you're talking about. You got to be able to rightly divide the word. Now, I've never had a problem with Chuck Missler, but if he goes on here and yucks it up with these guys, that's it. I'm done. I mean, come on now. Think about what these guys have said. You got the boss man himself saying, when you go through the tribulation, food's number one. And then the other one there telling people, oh, you don't have to worry about getting the mark. If you got the food, you can turn it down. And then the quote of quotes, Mr. Shorey, you hit the nail right on the head with this one. The guy with the food rules. Anyone who doesn't question statements like that, well, telling people that it's the food that'll save them from the Antichrist? Why would they even need Yeshua? Why would they need the Father? I hope you do your homework, Chuck, before you go on to this fiasco. Well, we'll see. Well, my friends, I only have one more thing to say. I personally believe that the tribulation spoken of by Yeshua is what the prophet Jeremiah called the time of Jacob's trouble. I don't believe that the gates of hell will prevail over the bride. No, I don't. How did Mr. Shorey put it?
The saints would be defeated. The saints are being conquered.
I don't believe that, Mr. Shorey. No way. Because Yeshua told us that the gates of hell would not prevail against his church, his bride. But we, us easy way out pre-tribbers, we comfort each other with those words. But you guys, you got a consolation, though. No matter how bad the tribulation gets, and from what I've heard on your show, Mr. Baker, it gets pretty bad. Here's what one of your board members had to say about how bad the tribulation might get. You people out there, you might have heard of him, Mr. Rick Joyner. Yeah, he's a board member. He's on the board. Jim Baker's, whatever it is. This is what he had to say about the severity of the tribulation. Something he saw in a dream.
I was shown the dream of this. I mean, it was the most evil, terrible hordes of hell I've ever even imagined. Worse than I've ever imagined. And, these, the most diabolical acts were being done on Americans, torture of children. And
Who do you think the hordes of hell is?
well, it is, there are jihadists. What I saw was worse than ISIS, though. It got titled ISIS coming across the southern border, but what I saw was worse. It was a demonic thing that rose up out of some ancient Central American culture, whether the Mayan culture or something, but it was so deep so demonic, it was actually scaring the Middle Eastern terrorists. It was worse. They had so destroyed the land, they had become cannibals.
Torture, cannibalism. Real happy stuff, people, right? Well, that's what they do on this show. What they do is they make it as gruesome as possible. And then they start thrusting the food ads at you. It's not right. It's not right at all. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, my friends. We, whose blessed hope is our bridegroom, will never face a thing like that at all. Not even close. Because we rely strictly on the promises of Yeshua HaMashiach. We will never face anything like what that man said. But unfortunately, that cannot be said by a mid-tribulation believer, because you must be here for at least 3.5 years of what could be torture. They're talking about killing children. And hey, just think, maybe your suffering might, kind of finish what Yeshua did on the cross. Because, you gotta suffer too, in this tribulation. Yeah. But there you go, you could go through some torture. Cannibalism. It wasn't very long after Mr. Joyner gave his little dissertation about the possible atrocities of this tribulation. It wasn't very long after that when Mr. Baker addressed his mid-tribulation Talmudim, his followers, whatever you want to call them. Mr. Baker, I guess, thought a little bit about what Mr. Joyner said, the severity of it. And Mr. Baker, I believe, summoned up every bit of spiritual and scriptural maturity that he has inside of him when he said, at the conclusion of the broadcast,
This is a popcorn popper.